Well, I got shafted. I got shafted not once, I got shafted twice. And what I mean by that is that my truck decided to need some ball joints replaced, or not ball joints, U-joints. So I'm pretty sure my truck got jealous because we put a new drive shaft into Susie. So I'm pretty sure it got jealous and finally said enough is enough. I want some work done. So the U-joints have been needing to be replaced in my truck for a while. And I just haven't gotten around to it. So I decided now is a good time to do it. And basically what happened was, my truck is a 2007 and it's the classic. So it's the year before they switched from the body styles. But in doing so, my truck is also a bit of an oddball because it's a 2007. It's a 2500 HD 3/4 ton, but it's only got the 6 liter in it, not the Duramax, which like most of them had. But it's also got, you know, vinyl mats, no bows. So it's basically a 3/4 ton work truck and with a 6 liter in it, which I'm fine with. But where things kind of get a little odd with it is that these trucks come in different versions and variations of drive shafts. So my drive shaft on this truck is a steel drive shaft, but these trucks also come with an aluminum drive shaft. They also come with a 2-piece drive shaft. They come with a drive shaft where these are different sizes. And so the reason why I got shafted the second time is because when I was measuring this, I didn't actually take my drive shaft out, and I measured this distance across here because there was no definitive answer, if you will, on what the U-joints were for this truck, for the back. So even though I went out and measured them and thought I had the right size, apparently somehow I either measured wrong or something happened, I don't know what, and ended up ordering the wrong size. So my advice to people, if you're ordering drive shaft U-joints, is measure them. And so I'm not sure how I measured it or how I ended up getting where I did, but if you look at this, it comes out at like 1 3/16. And so if you look that up in the books, these trucks can either have a 1410 or 1480, I think it is. I originally had ordered 1480s or whichever the larger size is, and unfortunately that was the wrong ones. So I ended up getting these 1410 XP spicers, and they're the right size. So what I'm doing today, because I gotta do more work on my truck, but it's technically stuck outside. I could probably get it in now because there's not so much ice and crap outside. But I need to do the front and I need to do the rear. And luckily enough, a lot of people, you can do this however you want. People use a vise, sockets, hammers, wood, whatever. For me, I've got the press. So for me, it's pretty simple. The press makes this job a whole lot easier and a whole lot more simple to do. No real advice on the back one. It's just got the external clips, so you just remove the clips, and this one comes out pretty simple. This one here, because you've got the drive shaft and the yoke, one of the things that I will generally do to make sure that these are going back together is just make a mark on them. You don't normally have to, but sometimes if you don't put your drive shafts back in the same way they came out, they can sometimes cause vibrations. So all you gotta do, I got a paint marker here, so I'll just mark a white mark there. and I'll mark over here on the shaft. So now I know that when I'm putting this back together, the two white marks go with one another. And do the same thing on this one here, because you can see, again, you got your drive shaft and your yoke. So again, you just take your marker and you just clean a spot if you can, or mark it wherever. So I'm going to mark this on this side here, and then I'll just mark the drive shaft. So I've got two marks in there. Know that this mark and this mark should be visible when I'm putting those back in. So just a little tip there. And then, like I said earlier, if you don't know what your drive shaft size or your drive shaft U-joint size is, then definitely pull the drive shafts, take the few minutes, and get them sized up to make sure you order the right ones. I do most of my ordering through Rock Auto because prices are way cheaper ordering through them, even with shipping 90% of the time. There are times where if I do buy something locally, it will work out to be the same price as Rock Auto. But for things like U-joints, even with shipping, it's cheaper. The downside is, because I had to order the different size for this, I had to ship the other ones back. And of course, you know, you lose the cost on shipping and other things like that. So not a big deal. Just, you know, if you're having to do ordering through something like Rock Auto, just make sure that you're 100% sure what you're ordering is what you're going to need. And then that way, you know, you're not stuck having to order stuff or send stuff back. So I'm going to get that set up, and I'm going to put you on a tripod, and then we're going to get the U-joints on the main shaft done first. Then we're going to work on, so the main shaft, and then we're going to work on the front one over there. So when I'm done set up here, I'll bring you back and we'll go from there. Okay, so for me, what I find is these are little spring clips. So you just squeeze this side, and then this clip will come out. Having a little pick is helpful as well. I think these pliers will be too big, so we'll just see here in a second. Nope. So you just squeeze. I put a pick underneath, catches it. And then that clip is out. I'll just spin it around and do the next one. Second. And then sometimes they just take off across the shop and you never find them again. I do have a pair of long needle nose. I just don't know where they're at right now. They would work so much better for this. All right, all four out on that side, so we'll turn it around and we'll do the other end. This side only has two because it doesn't have the yoke. And you can see, I'll show you after just how bad the U-joints are, how crusty they are. And you can see sometimes they stick. There. That one's a little rusted in there. This one out. Again, this one's in there frozen, so we'll just same thing. There. All right, all the U-joints are out. So we can go to the press. Press them out. So we'll do the easy end first. I seem to have misplaced my jack handle for this. Very all right, this thing wants to fight, so it's going to take me a bit. Once I get these out, I'll show you guys what they look like afterwards. Probably gonna need to use some more heat, some bigger hammers, some bigger sockets, and really get these things out. So see you in a bit, show you the afterwards. Well, in typical YouTuber fashion, I tried to make a clip, thought I was recording, but I guess I wasn't recording. So you can see the U-joint is out. Caps are on the ground. Old U-joint laying there. And well, the hammer and the socket had to come out because no matter what I was doing, that sucker was difficult to come out. I'm not sure why the press wasn't working. Fluid could be cold, hard to say. U-joints aren't perfectly flat, so it's a little hard to get them in there to use that. So just resorted to the old hammer and socket trick, and it worked no problem. So this one is done. I got the one on that end, and then I got the two for that one. So I got 3 more that I got to pull out. And then once I have those all removed and out, then I'll show you kind of what to do before you put the new ones in, because that's kind of important to make sure that everything is good and you don't have any problems. So yeah, I'm just gonna finish off these 3 and then bring you guys back and show you the rest. Well, I was hoping that this was gonna go a little bit easier than it did, but I finally got that one out and that one out. And you can see there's just pieces of it everywhere. And there's the yoke, and yep. No matter what I did, the U-joints on this front dry shaft were just not coming out. So they were very wedged, very rusty, and just were not moving. So I was able to get one all the way over. Then I just basically ground off the ear, and then I tried to bash it through again, but it still wouldn't come. So then I had to cut the other side off. So I cut both ears off, and then the yoke just fell out. And then I just punched out the caps. And even with both ears cut, the caps themselves were still being very, very difficult to come out. I've realized I gotta make some provisions for my press. These pins, they don't have any washers or anything on them to stop. So I was using it as a place to rest the dry shaft, so it would sit on the jack stand and then rest on that. But then the plates just fell. There are bolts that run through them that you can tighten up together, but the pin is actually what came, and it just basically fell out. So yeah, I got the rear dry shaft done. So Now it's on to the second one, and hopefully, cross some fingers, it's not as much of a problem as it is with this one. So I'll continue on that one, and if I come into any problems or when something comes up, as usual, I'll let you guys know, but hopefully it goes pretty quick, and I may have just jinxed myself, so we'll see. All right, jam drive shafts. If you've never done a front one before, make sure you got a lot of patience and a lot of different tools. The one thing that I forgot about these is that the U-joint that attaches to the front drive shaft will give you a very clear indication if the U-joints have ever been done in this truck before. And the reason I say this for is because on the front drive shaft of these trucks, you can see right here under my finger is a little plastic pin, and there's one on the other side as well. And basically these pins are holding this U-joint in. So for me, what I say, cut your ears off so the U-joint itself can come out, and that way you can work on getting the caps off, and that will make your life a whole lot easier. The other end, same thing. It may or may not have the pins on it. I don't think the front side does. I think the front side is just clips, but you'll have to watch the front side too, because it can very well have those plastic pins. So if you're ever doing drive shaft for your four-wheel drive, keep that in mind. Those plastic pins are very tough, and they can take a lot to get them out. So you may have to finagle around, or if you're not comfortable, just send it off to the shop. So I'm going to continue fighting now with the front drive shaft, as I got the one for the rear all done. The yoke is cleaned up now, so I'm working on the front and going to have to work on those pins. So yeah, good times ahead. Well, that went about as much as I expected it to. I think I went through 3 grinding discs, one finger hurt, big pile of dust and end caps, but I got one yoke ready, one shaft ready there, second yoke, and the second shaft ready there. So one of the things that I like to do when I'm doing this and I'm reinstalling these U-joints is grab some sandpaper. Doesn't have to be very coarse, and some grease. And all you're going to end up doing is you're going to go inside each of the holes and just smooth them out, clean them up, and same on the yoke. So make sure all of these are cleaned up real good. That's what the sandpaper's for. Once they're cleaned and they're ready to go, then just use your grease and just put a light coat of grease around the inside, and then that way when you're putting your caps on, they go in a lot easier. And when you're putting your U-joints on, you're going to be very careful, because inside here is a bunch of needle bearings. If you drop this, you're going to scatter those everywhere, and it's going to make a mess, and then you're going to be struggling. So take 2 caps off, inside, like so. Take 1 cap, kind of just stick it in there like so. Turn this over, put it in. Take the other side. You can see it poking through. Make sure you line this up good. I think it's just about there. A little bit more. So you can see the groove there, and that's where that clip has to go in. And then if you just look again, you can see the clip is now inserted in there, and that's all there is. And so now I will be basically doing the yoke on this end, U-joint in here, that yoke, and those 2 ends on that drive shaft. So it's a bit of a work still to do, but yeah. pretty much that's the worst of it, is basically getting the old ones out. Once you have the old ones out, like I said, you just got to make sure that when you're putting the caps on, you don't dislodge those needle bearings even inside when they're new, because if you do, you can bend them, your cap won't go on, your U-joint won't work well, and you got to replace it. So I'm going to keep tiddling along here, getting these things done. Once they're done, I'll bring you guys back and probably show you them back in the truck. Everything's reinstalled and good to go, and hopefully no more vibrations from drive shafts. Hopefully. All right. Front dry shaft is done. I don't have the caps on them quite yet. I just set them aside over there. I will be going out and put it on the truck right away. Just want to make a note. If it's your first time doing U-joints, or not U-joints, dry shafts, you may notice and you may think that this is wrong, that your front dry shaft or any dry shaft with U-joints can move so freely. That's normal. If they're stuck and they don't move, that's not normal, and that's why that's how you know they're worn out. So if it's your first time doing these, don't be alarmed by that. So this one's done, going in the truck, and I'm going to work on the next one. So go with that and then continue on. All right, so I'm installing the front dry shaft, and what I'm finding is that everything is good except for the fact that this happens. You can see that the caps are sliding back and forth. Now, the straps are snug, but they're not tight, but this is still happening. So you would think that in this situation that you have two problems. Either A, your U-joint is the wrong size, or the caps are the wrong size. And that is wrong, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to take the dry shaft off again. That one off. Those are still good. Well, this one got crunched, so hopefully that'll be all right. And we'll check. The needles are good. So now what I need to do is take this off. So once I have this off, then it'll be easier. All right. So what's going on, and what your problem is if you run into this, is that in some trucks your pinion yoke will have a tab sometimes in here which sticks up, which can catch the cap. Sometimes your strap will have a tab which can catch it, but in these you'll see it's got this bevel right here. Mine's really dirty, so we'll just run my fingernail through it, clean it out. The purpose of this ridge on both sides is so that you take your two extra C-clips and they ride in that groove. So what happens, and what you do, so I'm going to try and get this cap off a little bit more. All right, so the caps are off. Turn your yoke. Now, what you want to do is you take your cap and you pop your clip in. And now when you put this back together, that clip sits in that groove and prevents it from moving, just like that. So now if we put this in here, so let's start putting caps back on. Just to hold things in. All right, so tighten that all up, get everything snugged, and then I'll bring you back and show you what it looks like when it's done. So remember, if it's not fitting, you probably forgot those clips. All right, well, hot off the heels of the debacle that would be the front drive shaft for this truck, trying to get this rear one put together has been a giant pain in my arse. Needle bearings fell out, so I broke that one. Trying to make this work, broke the yoke, had to replace that. Vise is dead, so the only option I have is my press now. I don't really know what's going on. Measurements and stuff just were not working as they should be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tape off of this, and I picked up a new yoke. It's an upgraded one too. So I picked this up and I'm going to try putting it on there and hopefully not have any issues. I don't really record much of this because it's been a giant pain in my arse, and because of that I just want to focus and get these things done. I need my truck back running as quickly as possible, so I just focus on getting this done. So the issue that I was having was that when I was trying to put this on to these caps, what was happening is the snap ring grooves or the snap rings would not fit and allow me to seat both of them. So I'm going to try a couple of different things this time and see if that might work. One of the things that I've read is the cross section across one way might be different than another way. Spicer U-joints are usually pretty good in not having that problem, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to press down both sides down to where they stop moving, and then I'm going to measure and see if they're identical, and if they are, then it doesn't matter. If one of them is a little bit narrower than the other, then there's that. So there's a few different things we're going to try. So hopefully we can get this back in and together and not have any more broken U-joints or have any more problems. So I'm gonna get cracking on this and see where I'm at, and if I get it, I will show you guys, and hopefully it'll be a happy story. So I'm gonna get to work and try and get this installed. You know, the funny thing about old vehicles is that you always have to deal with all the crap that came from the previous owner and the neglect and the abuse and anything else that happened with it. So I finally got this end in. The U-joint is a little tight on the up down, but whatever, it'll break in. It's good on the side to side. What the problem is that these two ears, they're actually, this one is still pushed in. I fixed it to some degree, but I don't want to fix it too bad. I've also lost the weight here, so I hope that doesn't make a big difference. So what I did to get this to at least get the snap rings to lock in properly was I took this out to my truck. I stuck this ear into the hitch, stuck this into the hitch, and then I just put some pressure on it, and it bent this back. If I have any further issues with this drive shaft. I'll probably go to the junkyard and find another one and go from there. So still got to do this side, and then once that side is in, then it's going to be putting it back in the truck, taking it for a drive and seeing if this thing vibrates or if it's good. Because in amongst all the screwing around with this drive shaft, I lost all the sight marks for where all the stuff was installed. So I have to see and play it by ear. So going to get that U-joint installed, get this back in the truck, get it all bolted up, take it for a drive, and hopefully see where we're at, and hopefully everything is good. So I will keep you guys updated. Holy man, let me tell you about the battle. So that should give you an idea. So first off, at some point, I may still get this drive shaft replaced. This poor thing has been beat on a lot. These ears were way out, so I had to take some all thread, get those spread out. But unfortunately, that still did not allow the clips to work properly. So these clips are originals, but I had to sand these down. Copper clips on these are 0.060 thickness. I had to go down to 0.056 thickness. So hopefully they'll work for now. I'm going to talk to a driveline shop and see if I can get either 0.056 or 0.058 and try those in this drive shaft and see if they work. I don't know how good this drive shaft is going to work anymore. There's weights missing off of it. There's dents in it. It's in bad shape. So I'm hoping this can get me through the winter into the spring. I'll call around for a dry shaft price, but I'm assuming it's probably going to be in the $500 to $600 range, if not more. So we'll see where that is. But yeah, whole lot of work. You know, it's the downside to owning these vehicles, and just they're never maintained or worked on properly or just looked after, and then, you know, 300,000 kilometers later, you're having to replace U-joints, and then it's a 2-day battle because nothing is working. So hopefully everything is good and I can put it in the truck and everything will be fine. I won't know until I put it back in the truck, but that's what I'm going to be doing now. And hopefully from there, this job is done. There's a lot of things I would have done differently from the get-go. One of them would have been not fight with these old U-joints as I did. I think moving forward, as you can see, I cut these off, and I think moving forward, that's one of the things that I'm going to do on vehicles that haven't had drive shafts, the U-joints done in the drive shaft in a long period of time. I'm just going to grab my grinder and I'm just going to cut the ears and then just pop up the caps that way, save any possible damage to the ears on the yokes. If you guys have any ideas, trust me, I've gone through and done all the different ways. You know, shop press. I got somewhere in here, I got a C-clamp. You know, I got the big hammer, the rubber mallet. I've done it all, and it just was just a fight from the get-go. So it might also be that, you know, this drive shaft, it just may not work with these Spicer U-joints. They might be too wide. I don't know. Maybe next time I'll try a different brand and maybe they fit better. So yeah, 2-day job for this. Well, it's been about 3 days now, because if I remember, I started this a week ago, and that's when I destroyed this yoke. So I got a new one of those, and that took a week to get here. So yeah, it's been about 3 days, two solid good days, 3 probably slogging along. So yeah, that's where I'm leaving this one. I'm tired. I want to get this in the truck. I want to get the truck back on the road. I haven't driven it in a long time, and I need to use it this week. So that's where I'm leaving it, and hopefully everything works well. So appreciate the view, appreciate the watch. Leave some comments if you have any ideas or some better methods that I can try for down the road. Until next time, thanks for watching.